can't be perfect apart from God. We're not judged by our acts, we're judged by our faith. But the idea is that those good works, those good actions of love and compassion and patience and so on, come out of our faith. Without those works, James says, our faith doesn't seem to be there. So there's no excuse for Christians, as I often hear, well, I'm just mean. Well, of course you are. But as a Christian, that really isn't an excuse. All humans are mean, selfish, prideful, but we are made new in Christ. And then, even though we're not perfect and we slip all the time, when we slip, we're to confess it and ask God's forgiveness. And we are to strive as much to be self-controlled in our behavior, in our words, in our actions, to be compassionate, kind, humble, gentle, and patient. And in fact, a kind of peace comes from that. Allowing God's Spirit to rule our lives and minds and mouths and actions, because you know how badly you feel when you have done something wrong, when you have been mean or unforgiving or selfish or aggressive or impatient. You can't have peace in your soul if you are living out of order, if you're living out of God's Spirit. Most of the agitated people I encounter, not as many as Michael, wherever Michael is now. We were discussing our first week at the college, and he said, well, let's see, this week I had 5 people crying in my office. 5 students coming in crying, bawling away in Michael's office. Well, they don't cry in my office, but they come in and they're upset. And if you ask God to be patient, I admire Michael. You know what that tells us about our dear brother Michael? Is that he's accessible. People see him as a sympathetic, kind listener. Otherwise, they wouldn't go crying into his office. They don't cry in my office. Just because I'm so mean and inaccessible. At the college, anyway. People frequently cry in my church office. But that's because we're in the house of God. But the point is, it's a good sign of that ministry that Michael and others have, that people feel safe to come in his office and unburden their souls by weeping. That is a sign of God's compassion that we all should ask God to give us, to be kindly, to be accessible, the way Jesus was. People came up to him all the time, all kinds of people, sick, demon-possessed, poor. All kinds of people came up to Jesus, and they knew he would listen to them. So how we behave is very important. And we do it in the Lord, as Jesus said in John 14 and 27. Jesus said to us, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." The words of Christ to us, to all of his disciples, all of his believers. He says, "My peace I give you." You agitated? You worried? He says, "My peace I give you." Not as the world gives. The world gives fake peace with money. You think, well, I'll be at peace if I'm not arguing with people, I'm not at war. I'll be at peace if I have lots of money and prestige. That's how the world gives peace, and it really isn't peace. Jesus says, "I leave you my peace." The true peace of God, spiritual peace, in